Hey everybody, welcome to the Power Connection broadcast. My name is Bobby Umar. I'm here with Daniela Correia. Welcome to our show and say hi to the world, Daniela.
Hi, everyone. Happy day 3 of the quarantine.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks so much for joining us today. So the Power Connection chat and broadcast is all about talking about things that connect us as individuals, as workplace professionals, as leaders. I usually focus on topics around the areas of public speaking and personal branding, thought leadership, employee engagement, things like that. And then I bring in some amazing guests who share their own kind of expertise in their areas that are a complement to what I know because I don't know what they know, and they know these amazing things. So I'm glad that Daniela has taken the time to join us today. So I'm quite delighted that you're here, Daniela. Thank you so much for joining us. The topic today is actually a serious one. Again, it's what's on everyone's mind, which is, how is COVID-19 affecting the hospitality industry in the Caribbean, which is one of her main expertise. Now, just in terms of our setup and logistics, a few kind of ground rules for how we do our interviews. Number one, please engage us. We want to engage. We want to hear from you. So this is a community. We want to hear. So if you have questions, ask questions below. But anything that you're concerned about, anything that you want to know about, the things that Danielle is talking about, the things that I'm talking about, or comments we make, things like that. Number two, let us know where you're from. Are you coming? Are you watching from North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia? Let us know in the comments below. And then finally, if you like what you're hearing, you can like, tap, heart, light bulb, smiley face. You can do all those things. You can tag people during the conversation. You share it on your own page, and people can and let people know about the conversation. You can talk to people that are in the feed because again, we want to hear from you. So make sure you're commenting and let us know that you're with us. And because we don't know who's there. So we can only tell if you're commenting and sending some love. And I mean, we could all use more love at this point in time, right?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, okay, amen to that. So I think what we'll do, Danielle, before we start is why don't you tell people a bit about your story and kind of what you're doing, and then we'll dive into the topic. Okay, so tell us a bit about who you are and what you're all about.
Sure, absolutely. So, again, my name is Daniela, and I own and operate a hospitality recruitment agency. So it's pretty niche, especially because I pretty well exclusively work with the Caribbean market. So to date, I have placed people to work in islands such as Grand Cayman, Jamaica, Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Grenada. Um, I don't know if I said Bahamas, St. Thomas, Bermuda. So working with big chain hotels as well as boutique, smaller standalone properties, and then also standalone restaurants. And why I chose to pretty well focus in the Caribbean market is because I have also worked in Grand Cayman, fell in love with the Caribbean. I used to work with the hospitality industry as well, so I really wanted to facilitate opportunities for hospitality professionals globally to find really exciting roles that could help advance their careers or even get themselves started. And it's an industry that I'm highly passionate about. Been doing this now for just over 4 years, so fully invested and love to connect with people all over the Caribbean, all over the world. Yeah, I'm excited for this conversation because it's definitely an industry that is being impacted. I know it's not the only industry that's being impacted, but it's definitely the one that I can speak to the most.
And can you tell me a bit more about how you got into recruiting? Is that something that you'd always want to do, or how did that kind of come about?
So I actually graduated from business and then I majored in HR. And
Okay.
my first job was actually at KPMG, and I was in the HR department, but because it's such a big company, there was actually 12 divisions within HR. And I was just always kind of interested in recruitment. I love people, I love business, so I thought it really went hand in hand. And as I continued kind of exploring new jobs, I ended up recruiting
And my first
for
job
more
was
in the
actually at
experiential
KPMG,
marketing.
and I was in the HR department.
Oh, we got an echo.
It's okay. It's okay. I fixed it.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so then I got involved in recruitment actually at the experiential marketing level. So working with Fortune 500 companies like Coca-Cola, Microsoft, Samsung, all the Diageo brands. And that was more so like smaller contracts. And then when I got on the corporate level, which now you are providing, full-time salaried roles for people, oftentimes they were a promotion, not so much a lateral move. That was really what excited me, because you would see, how happy and how much you would, really their life with these opportunities. And the feeling is just amazing when you're able to be that middle person between, a great talent and then also a great company, and merging the two that, either fit culturally or, are aligned. I just love it. And in hospitality, that was kind of not necessarily by fluke, because I did work in the hospitality industry in Grand Cayman. I actually did sales into hotels, restaurants, and a lot of those hotels and restaurants that I used to sell to, and I worked in the beverage industry for a distributor, then became my clients. So all about, building relationships. I think that goes a long way. And in being a recruiter, because you talk to so many people, you really do build some special relationships. And now that I do it on, more of like a global sense, because I work pretty well, all the jobs that I recruit on require a work permit. So I have recruited people from the Maldives, Seychelles, Mauritius, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, India, Sri Lanka, all throughout the Caribbean, from the States. So you learn new cultures, you just really get to know people. And I've learned of places that I didn't even know. I love it.
Yeah, and it sounds like a pretty exotic kind of job to have. I mean, just the thought of being able to, like, because you obviously go there for business too, and like that sounds awesome. Like, I wish I could find someone like you to get me a job over there and do the work that I do. Like, that's awesome. I mean, I love the Caribbean. That's fantastic. So thanks for sharing that. Now, but now of course we have a major challenge with the COVID pandemic, and so maybe can you share your thoughts on how it's affecting the hospitality industry and what's going on?
Absolutely. So I can speak quite a bit towards Grand Cayman, because that's an island that I used to live and work at, and then also that I still do a lot of work with. I work with 3 hotels there, a number of different restaurants, and the whole airport is being shut down on Sunday. So no inbound or outbound flights for 3 weeks. And also on Sunday, all the hotels will be closed as well. There's also a ban Caribbean-wide where no more than 50 people. 50 people gathering. So obviously many restaurants cannot sustain themselves with 50 people and paying, you still have to pay back of house, chefs, front of house. So they're just closing altogether. A lot of expats are trying to get home before Sunday, because, bills might be tight for those line staff workers. And then the hotels in Grand Cayman have stepped up and are actually still paying their employees. Their full-time employees will still get their salaries paid for, even though they'll be 3 weeks off. So it's really nice that you're seeing people help now, and really learning the value that you have to your employer. It's unfortunate that not all small businesses can afford to do the same. And that's really the scary part, because people have to feed, their families and pay rent. But yeah, it's just going to be way too hard for hotels to stay operating if there are just low occupancy rates. It's like 20% occupancy rates at some of these hotels right now, and they will just get lower as the travel bans begin. There's no local is really going to check into a hotel, so they really rely on the travelers to come in and for revenue. So it'll be definitely an interesting time, because they're going to have to come up with new revenue strategies. But also people aren't so inclined to be leaving their house right now. And that's totally understandable, because we've been told to practice social distancing, which I know I have been doing since Friday. Also to just stay home. Don't leave if you don't have to. I know many of us may not be at risk people, but that doesn't mean that we can't pass this on. So we're
Right.
definitely in uncharted waters. But the hospitality industry has proven to be a very resilient industry. So I am confident that they'll be able to come back from this. However, it is happening at a very strange time in that we were at the highest development in the Caribbean pipeline as a whole that they have ever seen, especially with the Marriott getting involved with all-inclusive properties. That's the first time ever that that's happened. They officially had launched their first ever all-inclusive property this year, and
Hmm.
they have 3 others in the pipeline. So when the Marriott starts getting involved in the all-inclusive, then the hospitality industry is really rising. So it'll be interesting because from what I'm hearing, there are private investors who are actually pulling out now. So developments can be put on hold. And these developments were really exciting for the Caribbean market because it meant new jobs. And now, forecasting for the future, that might not be the case, at least not for now. So I think that the developments will continue eventually, but right now it's hard to say because we're getting news by the hour.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the challenge I think with the information on COVID-19 is that it's coming by the hour, by the day, and things are like my mindset on Thursday versus Saturday versus today is completely changed significantly based on the information that's coming our way. So I totally understand the shifting there. I was curious about what were there any differences between different nations in terms of the timeline and how they actually adjusted to the news?
Yes, so great question. Actually, Jamaica was pretty progressive in their approach with COVID. It's been 3 weeks now that they had not let any cruise ships dock in Jamaica. So they
Okay.
did that before Grand Cayman, and actually the first person to um, get COVID-19 virus in Cayman, which apparently so far there's only one. That news can be old though, because as you said, things are changing by the hour.
Right.
And that was someone that came in contact with a cruise shipper who had been in Italy. So the cruise ships were a huge threat to the all Caribbean islands. Big stream of revenue as well for the Caribbean islands, as well as
Hmm.
for the cruise ships. But Jamaica, when this just started, really 3 weeks ago, they had already said, no, we're not letting you dock
Wow.
here. And other Caribbean nations ended up following suit. So there's that. And then, but then there's other nations that seem to not be so affected. I mean, I have a live later with one of the general managers from one of the top hotels in Mexico, and he says that they're still busy and operating. And that was
Really?
news as of yesterday. So he definitely says that they are bracing themselves for, tough times ahead. But as it stands right now, they seem to be okay.
And is there an influence also among hotel chains versus the governments of the countries in terms of moving things along or setting the standard around which people follow?
Yeah, so it seems that people are following the government and what the government is putting in place. However, I know that the Ritz-Carlton and the Kimpton, which are two huge, big chains in Grand Cayman, they are still being paid for their time off now. So even though hotels will not be operating, so as far as I know, the government hasn't stepped in for assistance, not yet, anyways.
Hmm.
But the hotels are definitely stepping up. Now, we'll wait to see what happens with the line staff because I know that that's really where I feel people are going to be most affected. And those would be people like the room attendants, the bartenders, the servers, people on hourly wages, also people who count a lot on shared gratuity, which
Right.
there is a gratuity charge for each room, and that gets shared between all the staff. And often that's like a great little bonus for those people on the line level. And
Hmm.
often those people on the line level too can be locals as well. So they don't really have the opportunity to leave. And if they do, they have about 48 hours to do so.
Right, right. Okay. And are you having any sort of what's the situation with over there with people that are like we're both from Canada, so like are there any expats that are trying to get back? You know, because the government here is closing things down in Canada.
Yep.
What's going on with the expats there, and how are you able to help them, or what's going on with them?
Yep. So the expats, a lot of them are coming back, especially because, they're not working. So from line staff to middle management staff, they're taking this as an opportunity to go home and be with their families and quarantine with their families. However, some of the expats are from countries that aren't allowing anyone back in. Like Italy is not letting anyone into the country. And it's, so some people are going to come through tough times, but a lot of people are trying to get home. And when they announced the airport closure, they did that. It was yesterday or the day before yesterday. It might have been yesterday. It's so much news that it's hard to
Yeah,
say what day it came out. But they gave them till Sunday, so they are giving a grace period for people to go home. Um, and when you do arrive, you also have to self quarantine for 2 weeks.
right.
So if you're going to have to self quarantine, some people are choosing to do that at home.
And what's the general sense of? I mean, obviously, this is very devastating for the tourism industry down there. Is there a general sense of what's the attitude in terms of getting through this and how we're going to cope? And what are they? How's everyone feeling? What are they feeling?
So it seems that everyone is being really understanding because obviously this is like an unprecedented times. We did not expect this at all. Um,
Hmm.
and I had a ton of positions. I think looking at my board here, there was at least like 14 roles that I was actively recruiting on. And now they've all been put on hold. So there is a hiring freeze for 2 months, and having to contact my candidates who had already been in third round interviews. At this point, they've been screened by me, interviewed by HR, interviewed by the hiring manager, now going on to interviews with the general manager. These are usually very positive steps when you've gotten this far.
Right.
And I've had to contact each and every one of them and explain to them that for now these roles are being put on hold. And I'm getting, everyone's being really understanding because they're also hoteliers, so they're feeling the effects at their own properties. So everyone knows that this is just what needs to be done right now. But it really does feel like these hospitality professionals are positive that this will pass. And I mirror that as well. I think it will pass. It's just a matter of time and how much time.
Yeah, and I think that that aspect you mentioned is actually, in a way, it's quite inspiring to see that people are really committing to what needs to be done, and they're hopeful for things to turn around once we get through this. They see that some hotels and companies are paying their employees through the challenges. So, I mean, I think there's actually a lot of inspiration to be seen from what's been going on.
I couldn't agree more. It makes me feel very proud that I'm working with, some hotels that have really stepped up to help their team, and I think that will be reciprocated when it's time to get back to work because we don't forget these things. And also, in seeing kind of the silver lining, I know we were talking about this earlier. It's allotted time for us to really kind of take a break, take a step back. Um, relax
Hmm.
or go back to the drawing board. I know this is going to affect my business. Obviously, how I make my money is through recruiting for these roles. And I completely understand that right now it's just not possible to be bringing on any new staff. So it's really the opportunity to kind of focus on maybe some of the projects that you've been putting off, reading new books, taking new courses, spending time with family, really just trying to stay positive and help each other out.
Hmm. I'm here talking with Daniela Correia, who's a hospitality expert in the Caribbean, about how the COVID virus is affecting the tourism industry there, and clearly it's going to affect it tremendously in a difficult way, but they're getting through it, and she's sharing some great insights. If you are joining us for the Power of Connection broadcast, please share your questions below. We'd love to get questions on around the hospitality industry, around COVID-19, what you guys are doing, how you're feeling. Because again, I think a lot of us are trying to do as best we can to cope with this, and it's clearly a hot topic. And we'd like to make this this broadcast be one that's engaging, and share where you're from, share your questions, and let us know. You can always tag us with questions afterwards, and tag Daniela and tag myself, and we can certainly try to answer them later on. You kind of mentioned trying to do things on your own, so let's talk a little bit of that. How are you holding up in terms? How are you holding out in terms of how's this affecting you personally, and how are you kind of coping with that?
So personally, I mean, it is different because I'm so used to actively recruiting on jobs. Like I'm always busy.
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely going to take some getting used to. But on the other side, I mean, I do have a pretty strong opinion that if the need for that recruitment hire or position was there before, it will still be there later. And there is quite a lengthy period of time for someone to actually get a work permit. I mean,
Right.
between all the interviews, you still have to get your medical clearance, a medical test. You have to get a criminal record clearance as well. You have to take passport photos. You have to courier these documents. It needs to be submitted to immigration. It needs to be approved by immigration. So between this whole process, sometimes it can take 2 months between the first time that I speak to a candidate until, them having a work permit in hand. So I think we should still be trying to be progressive and, be actively working on things, because we're just going to fall further behind later if we decide that, okay, now we're ready. Well, there's going to be a lot of other things to do as well then. So it's going to be interesting to see how some hotels will navigate. I know that there are properties that are still recruiting. They're still doing what they have to do. And if that means that they won't have as strong of a revenue stream, or be in the surplus as much, that's okay. That's just something that's going to have to happen. So we'll see. But I mean, for me personally, I'm just, taking it day by day.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, I think that I'm kind of in the similar vein. I'm trying really hard to navigate this as my speaking engagements and training sessions are being canceled or shifted or rescheduled. And so for me, what's happening is some are being reshifted to the fall, which means that cash flow doesn't come now; it comes later. Other ones are being canceled, which means you don't get the cash flow at all. So I'm trying to navigate by shifting things to a more coaching and consulting, things like that.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to work on. And then I think the other big challenge for me is just processing all the information. There's just a lot of information coming down the pipeline. There's just so much to think about. And so to that, and one of the things that I started doing, and I'm here at home with the kids, self isolated with the kids, and they're getting squirrely in our apartment, and so it gets a little bit nuts. But I'm trying really hard to I hosted a Zoom call last night just for my friends on Facebook. Let's just talk to each other about what's going on. We're being isolated. How do we handle this? And people are going through a lot, but most people are quite hopeful about, and they're committed. And I think that's a really, really good thing. Is there anything that you're doing to try to? I mean, you mentioned that you're reading more books, okay? And you said you can, and also, and you can't work out at the gym, okay? So you're a workout person. So, what? Are you able to work out from home? Are you looking at doing any other ways to generate more income for yourself? Like, how are you managing that?
Yeah, so I've thought of a couple ways. I mean, I even thought about doing like an ebook, an eCourse,
Okay.
because I know that I'm doing, I've been recruiting now for 8 years. I feel like I have a lot of tips and tricks, especially in using LinkedIn in terms of filters and searches. So I've thought about putting something together. It wouldn't be anything expensive, but I know that a lot of recruiters could benefit from this because it is an industry. Even if you're working as a recruiter for a staffing company, you'll be salaried plus commission, but your commission is really where you make your money, and your commission comes from closing roles. So I thought about doing something like that. And then that's a big one that I've been thinking about. And of course, I'm thinking about doing more live. So I do have a social live account, which
Right.
is the platform that we're using for this live. And so I thought of just getting, working more on my personal brand and doing what I can that way so I stay relevant. And then actually just next to me right here, I'll show you I have a stack of business cards that I'm just updating on my database. That's not even one. I have another one from a conference that I went to. So just
Wow.
updating my contact sheet. I'm going to be increasing my email marketing as well, campaigns. So doing that, maybe, working on the website. There's always something to do when you're an entrepreneur. And I find that I don't have as much time to do business development when I am so focused in recruiting, because
Right.
not only do I need to do my account management, client management, do searches, screen candidates, source candidates, submit my candidates, and then get them through the whole process and scheduling interviews and so forth. I'm busy enough with that I don't really focus on business development. So, I work a lot on a referral basis, and I work with developers who add new hotels to their portfolio. So sometimes I'll be working with different branded hotels, but really they're the same developer and same client essentially. So I think I'm going to really try to be doing some business development and trying to navigate that in a way where, I know right now you're not looking for a recruiter, but to, again, keep yourself relevant, keep those relationships warm. And that's what you have to do, because essentially I'm in sales. I'm in the business of selling people, but also selling my service. So just letting your clients know that you're there for them, and you understand. You don't want to be someone who is doing any pushback, because this is bigger than me, bigger than my business, bigger than the industry. This is a global pandemic. So we really just need to kind of work on what we can, and at that point I can work on myself and my business. So that's what I'm going to do.
Wow, that's great. You said a lot of great things I liked. I mean, you said working on your personal brand, which is something that I love to do, and I work with people on helping them build those. So I think that's great. You're doing that. The business card thing, that's fantastic. Personal projects too, and even Daniela, Daniel Francavilla, a common friend of ours, says, "Hey, hi." So he's saying hi to you.
Hi.
Yeah. Do you know him, or are you just saying hi to you?
I don't see his comment.
Oh, he says, "Oh, hi,
Wonder.
Daniela." But do you know him? Because he's a friend of mine, so I wasn't sure whether he was saying hi to you because he knows you or just wants to start a conversation.
I might, Daniel. I'd have
He
to
runs
see his
the Now
photo.
Create. He runs a Now Creative group. It's a digital marketing agency in downtown Toronto. So he's an entrepreneur and a friend of mine. So
Okay, very
he,
nice. Well, hi,
he's
Daniel.
saying hello. And Marcel Arsenault says, "Can I ask who the guest is?" Well, yes, you can. It's Daniela Correia. She is a hospitality and tourism and expert and recruiter for the Caribbean, which is her main focus. And her website is dcglobaltalent.com or .ca.
It is .ca. Yes.
.ca. There you go. So you can check all her stuff. Oh, there you go. Daniel says that she attended my workshop at East Room. Okay, there you go.
Yes. Hi, Daniel. I see you
So
now.
there you
Yes.
go. Yeah, Daniel.
He
Yeah,
did a
go ahead.
workshop on video content and how to put
Right.
out the video. So obviously, I was very interested because
Yeah.
as we talk about what am I going to do now? What are we doing now? That's something that I have time to do now, to develop content and to build my social pages, which I do try and work on my business Instagram quite a bit. So
Yeah.
I think, and obviously you're a personal branding expert and you know the importance of it. So now more than ever, if we have time to be creating content and good content, then that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I think the course you mentioned is a great idea. I mean, I always when I work with clients, I say like, if you want to build a thought leadership brand for yourself, you need to create a course around your expertise, and you have so much expertise. Creating a course, and in particular, I would say create a video course. That's going to be great for you. I think you can do, and I would do like a couple. I would do like a short one to get people's interest, and you can even make a free one, right? Like a 5 video series, nice and free, and then a deeper one, and just do that. And if you want help promoting it, I'll share it on my channels because you have expertise that I have no idea about how that works. So it's certainly would complement what I'm doing. So I'm happy to support you on that. I think that's a fantastic one. And you want to bring in guest speakers, although I really couldn't talk about tourism, but you could bring in guest speakers, find some really good people out there, connect with her, and she could bring you in to talk for 5-10 minutes about whatever your expertise is that might support her course. I think those are really good things you can be doing. Um, and then like for me, from a personally, I mean, I know one of the things I know about you is that you're really into fitness. So like, how are you dealing with that at home?
So I'm not.
You're not. Oh, okay. I thought maybe you had like some sort of home workout system in place.
Well, I need to put one in because, that was kind of my time to disconnect from in front of the computer.
Okay.
And I'm not a huge morning person. I mean, I'm in front of my computer every day at 7 a.m., no matter what. But it takes me a while between, having my coffee, getting ready in the morning. So really I'm done working at 5 p.m. and then that's when I go to the gym. So I have those 2 hours and when I come back, I eat and I just relax. Like I'll read a book,
Okay.
just kind of decompress. And now I'm finding that I'm in front of my computer a lot longer because I don't have that break to leave the house. So something that we all need to start practicing is, wellness at home, like
Hmm.
incorporating workouts at home because when you're at home all day, you'll eat more and you might
Right.
not always reach for the healthiest snack and that could really fog the brain as well in our concentration and so I definitely will have to be working on some better wellness practices at home. It's something I'm thinking about. It's
Hmm.
been nice to have a few days off, but I don't know that I can go much longer.
And I'm glad you mentioned the food thing. I think that's an important piece because for me, I've also been on a food journey myself, having done keto for about almost a year, and I've lost 45 pounds. But in the last week or so, I've gained weight because I've been eating poorly, and so it definitely shifts a lot. So, and the other thing, of course, is social isolation. Now, are you able to do you have a backyard or something that you can go out and just get some fresh air? I mean, and the other question I have is, I have my kids to keep me entertained. Are you self isolated by yourself, or do you have some people with you there?
So I work on my own, but I do have a lovely backyard. We're actually on the water here in
Oh, okay.
Lake Simcoe. So
Oh, wonderful.
we'll go for walks. Yesterday I went for a nice long walk, and
Nice.
that's been nice. And it's funny because you'll notice other people going for walks on like other side of the sidewalk.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're
The
all just kind of
distance.
practicing that distance. But it's interesting to see, and I've never seen so many cars in driveways. Because I'll usually go for at least one walk, before lunch or after lunch, just to
Yeah.
stretch my legs.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm the only person who works from home, in at least the area that I'm in. There's never cars. And yesterday, every driveway had a vehicle in it. So
Right.
obviously, people are working from home.
Okay. Wow. No, that's good to know. If you're joining us again, Daniela Correia is a hospitality expert and recruiter for the Caribbean, and she's talking about the industry and how it's being affected in a challenging way by the COVID-19 pandemic. And people are commenting though, Marcel just said, "Thanks, Daniela. I sent you both a request to connect. I have 17,500 people on LinkedIn that speak French, etc." Oh, très bien. Okay, so that's good. You can certainly connect with him if you'd like. And as we're processing this and going through it, obviously there's challenges for the industry. There's challenges for you and I personally because we're affected by the lack of events, the lack of hospitality events, and things going on. What will be your message to those who are trying to navigate this and feeling a bit overwhelmed or feeling a bit lost?
Yeah. So I want to repeat again that hospitality industry is a resilient industry. And the people in hospitality are resilient people as well. They're an industry that is ever evolving, very product driven, all about the customer experience. I think people are going to come back more passionate and stronger than ever. Uncharted waters for sure, bracing ourselves for tough times. but knowing that, there will be jobs there when this is all said and done. And at the end of the day, people are going to want to travel. They're going to want to take some time off, decompress. I know a lot of people have had to cancel vacations. I had to do one myself. I was scheduled to go to Costa Rica with my family next week, and
Wow.
we have had to cancel that trip. But I want to believe that we're postponing it, not necessarily
Right.
canceling it. And that's what a lot of airlines are. There's no cancellation fees because people want you to be able to come back after. And
Right.
when this is all said and done, you can go back on a flight. You can go travel, go to the hotel or the resorts or country, whatever that you had previously planned to do. Um, so I think that, it's definitely hopeful. Um, and we will come back from this stronger. I truly do believe that. It's a learning curve for all of us to navigate this.
Hmm.
It's tough to forecast, what things are going to look like later because we just don't know how long it's going to take to contain this virus. So the focus right now
Hmm.
really should be to contain the virus. So I just am so happy to see everyone supporting that same initiative and that one goal,
Yeah.
which is to keep our community safe. So obviously we have to think about our livelihoods. And right now, because we're in the beginning stages, I think it's still fair to say we don't need to panic. And,
Right.
let's keep that kind of momentum and mindset going, and we'll surely come back from this stronger.
And I love
I
what you
mean,
said
and
about.
to your
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry, I just wanted to mention with the events that you said that are canceling, like there's conference events that are canceling here on this end too. In the Caribbean, that is, there was a conference that I was scheduled to be at in April that has canceled. And, it seems like all vendors are being really supportive as well because you don't plan for this. So,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people are being affected, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to say that I love what you said about postponing things. My daughter, I had to cancel my daughter's sleepover party next weekend. And I said, no, we're not canceling. We're postponing it.
Yeah.
We're through this, we're going to do it later. And I'm trying to cheer her up with that. And the other thing is like after whatever, whether it lasts 3 weeks or 2 months, we're all going to want a vacation. So we're all going to want to get away. So yes, I believe the travel industry will come back and it'll shoot up and thrive in a tremendous way. So I think that's really important. Last question for you, Daniela. What's the best place for people to connect with you, contact you, and things like that? If they have questions or they want to learn more about your work.
Absolutely. So you can go on my website to view the live roles always. That's dcglobaltalent.ca. Again, we are on a hiring freeze, but at least you'll get some idea of what positions that I recruit on. And then also you can find me on Instagram at DC Global Talent as well as Twitter, DC Global Talent. Always looking to connect with people interested in the hospitality industry. I know everyone always has questions. How do I get a work permit? Who pays for it? How long does it take? I have all those answers for you. So definitely reach out to me if it's an industry that you're interested in getting involved with, overseas, somewhere warm and sunny.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us, Daniel. I really appreciate it, and everyone who's on the broadcast, thanks for joining us. If you have questions afterwards, you can the replay is available on my feed. You can ask questions below and tag her and myself to answer the questions for you. And again, the Power Connection is here on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays in the morning around 8:45 a.m. I do have one planned on Friday with Stuart Knight, who's a fellow speaker, but I'm not sure. We were supposed to meet in person, but so we're gonna have to shift that and see if we can do it online. But I'll keep you posted on what we're doing. And by all means, out there, stay safe, stay home, stay safe, help each other out, and practice social distancing. I mean, Danielle are doing right now. We're practicing social distancing. She's like 100 miles away. So
Yeah.
look how good we are. So thank you so much, Danielle, for all your help. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me on as a guest, Bobby. It's an honor to be speaking here with you on your live. So For everyone else who watched or has questions later, you can reach out to me or yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye. Take care.